I make a few remarks of which I feel essential to have an understanding about culture and cultural heritage. On the first page of Primitive Culture, Taylor provides a definition which is one of the most widely recognized contributions to anthropology and the study of religion. Culture or civilization, taken in its broad ethnographic sense, is that complex whole which includes knowledge, belief, art, morals, law, custom, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a matter of society, as a member of society. Unlike many of his predecessors and contemporaries, Taylor asserted that human mind and its capabilities are the same globally, despite a particular society stage in social evolution. This means a hunter-gatherer society would possess the same amount of intelligence as an advanced industrial society. The difference, Taylor asserts, is education, which he considers is the cumulative knowledge and methodology, and that takes thousands of years to acquire. I also should remember Swami Vivekananda. He said that simply education is not enough. Culture is essential. We have to understand this point also. Now, cultural heritage is the legacy of physical artifacts and intangible attributes of a group or society that are inherited from the past generation and maintained in the present and bestowed for the benefit of future generations. Cultural heritage includes tangible culture, intangible culture, natural heritage. Now, tangible culture such as building, movement, landscape, books, works of art, and artifacts. Instantly I mention you this building where we are sitting here. This building is a heritage building declared by the government, though it was constructed only in 1961. And the publication Cultural Heritage of India is also definitely a tangible culture. Now, tangible culture, now it includes the physical or tangible or cultural heritage such as artwork. These are split into two groups, movable and immovable heritage. I'm not going into details. And intangible cultural heritage means the concept non-physical aspect of a particular culture often maintained by social customs during a specific period of history. The concept includes the ways and means of behavior in a society and the often formal rules for operating in a particular cultural climate. Natural heritage is also an important part of society's heritage, encompassing the countryside and natural environment, including flora and fauna, scientifically known as biodiversity, as well as geological elements. Now, the driving force behind all this is the human creation intended to inform. By understanding cultural heritage, people value it. By valuing it, people care for it. By caring for it, people enjoy it. And from enjoying it comes a thirst to understand more the cultural heritage. And thus the cycle goes on. In the wake of the Sri Ramakrishna's birth centenary celebration, The Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture was established in 1938. And the entire rights of the cultural heritage of India, which was already published in 3 volumes, was vested in it. The publication also serves to fulfill a primary aim of the Institute, which is to promote the study, interpretation, and dissemination of the cultural heritage. Thereafter, volume after volume was added, and the sustained process appeared somewhat like a kind of evolution. This story may well be described as a phenomenon. A phenomenon is often something extraordinary and mysterious. It is an object of experience, every turn of which can be explained and satisfactorily. While culture is the Institute's specific field of study, it is not the national culture alone that it studies, but that culture which is the common heritage of all humanity. Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, then by India's Vice President and one of the greatest exponents of India's cultural heritage, wrote an introduction to the cultural heritage of India in 1937 and mentioned that the series may form the foundation of the regeneration of India and at the same time contribute to the establishment of peace and unity of the world. One outcome of this process of evolution is reflected in the content of the volumes. In the first place, the first 3 volumes contain 4,202 pages. Now, the entire 8 volumes occupy 11,039 pages, nearly 3 times the size of the first 3 volumes. Also, it took almost 8 decades to complete the series. The most difficult part of this publication was the 7th volume, devoted to the arts, in 2 parts, edited by the eminent scholar and art historian, Dr. Kapilabhatt Sayan. Part 1 was divided into 4 sections: architecture, sculpture, epigraphy, and numismatics. And part 2 was divided into 3 sections: Indian painting, music, dance, and theatre, and art and life. It is worth noting how Dr. Kapilabhatt Sayan handled some very critical problems. There were articles written by renowned scholars. They were included, for these articles stand on their own merit and reflect the state of scholarship at the time they were written. They acquired a historical importance as they reflect the perception of a generation of pioneers in the field. Again, some of the articles included are from recent writings by scholars. At present, as I already told you, there are 8 volumes, and only the volume 7 one is divided into 2 parts. The Institute of Culture has decided to organize this particular national seminar, as has already been told by Swami Shubhadanandaji, with the specific reference to the cultural heritage of India, Volume 2, Part 1 and Part 2 containing about 1,966 pages. Work on this volume, Volume 7, was started more than 30 years ago with Professor S.K. Saraswati, Bageshwari Professor of the University of Calcutta, as the chief editor. After his unfortunate passing away on 22nd of September 1980, the work on the volume received a setback. Thereafter, Professor Kalyan Kumar Dasgupta took up the responsibility. He, however, died in 1996. Professor Kalyan Kumar Ganguly succeeded Professor Dasgupta, but died soon thereafter on 6th of November 1997. At long last, Dr. Kopila Batson took up the challenging task and brought all her knowledge and experience to bear upon this work to maintain the standard of this valuable series. During the same period, it is very interesting to note that they started other research works of special mention. One of them was Project of History of Science, Philosophy and Culture in Indian Civilization, a project which was initiated by the Center for Studies in Civilizations under the editorship of Professor D.P. Chattopadhyay in India. The series expected to be in 30 volumes and also contain the scope for 20 monographs. PHISP is a large-scale literary project funded by the Ministry of Human Resources Development. India is populated today by more than 1 billion people. In spite of differences from one region to another in respect of ethnicity, religion, language, history, music, dance, eating habits, architecture, and customs and manners, there pervades a strong sense of unity. Incredible for its diversity, India has always been culturally one and organically whole. Any person who is truly religious, irrespective of his religious inclination, would not fail to see the unity in diversity and the central oneness of all existence, be it physical, mental, or spiritual. However, though mythology and rituals of our religions have imperceptibly entered into our belief system, the principles and core values of immortality and oneness took the back seat. This is the myth that Swami Vivekananda constantly tried to demystify. He explicated the foundation of Indian culture and among the defining principles responsible for the unity behind diversity. He decoded spiritual experience as the essence of one and every religion in India. James Mill, onward, emphasized the absence of unity in pre-British India. According to them, only intellectuals who had received English education discovered India's unity in the past. Swami Vivekananda, however, continuously pointed out the cultural unity of India throughout its long history of existence. India's strength rests upon the principle of unity behind diversity, and not on uniformity of matter, of thought, or of spiritual experience. She flourished when these principles were well expressed in daily life, and she degenerated when they became forgotten or submerged. Zhu King, at the scenario of the 19th century India, observed that India has experienced such a crisis. To explain the rise after this crisis, we strongly agree with Dr. Radhakrishnan, who wrote into the Introduction of the Cultural Heritage of India, Volume 1. And the last line is very interesting. He, that is Sri Ramakrishna, has helped to rise from the dust the fallen standard of Hinduism, and not in the words merely, but in works. Before I conclude, I request you to consider from the point of conformity with different facts as on date, whether this composition of different groups of scholars over a period of 8 decades needs a revision in terms of content, flow, interlinkage of ideas and interests. This is the point which struck me when I have gone through it several times. Many thanks for giving me a patient hearing, and I hope the scholars coming from different parts of India, they will contribute something more than what has already been published. Many, many thanks.
We are unfortunate in not having respected Dr. Kapila Vatsyayan amongst us in this function. Her secretary, Mr. N.H. Ramachandran, have travelled all the way from Delhi to bring to us the message of Kapilaji. I now request Mr. Ramachandran to deliver the message of Kapilaji.
Respected Swamiji and the distinguished audience. At the outset, I am not used to sit on the dais with such a distinguished gathering or speak or read out a message. You will therefore forgive me if I sort of fumble in my reading. Revered Swami Prabhananda Maharaj, Swami Suparnananda, Swami Bhajananand, Swami Yadavananda, Professor Sabyasachi Bhattacharya, and participants of this conference. I am beholden to the Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture, and most of all to Swami Prabhananda Ji and all the colleagues who have worked on Volume 7, Part 1 and 2 of the CHI series, Suprabhat Maharaj, Pradeep Ganguly, Kalpana Ghosh, Durga Bose, staff of the Institute's Publication Department and Library and Research Wing, and many others whose names I am not taking, and my colleague in the ISC Asia project, Ramachandran. But for their assistance and contribution, these volumes would not have seen the light of the day. At the outset, I would like to convey my deep felt apologies to Swami Prabhananda Ji and all the others for my inability to participate in this seminar, where I would like to again narrate the historiography of the series with special reference to Volume 7. My prefaces to Part 1 and 2 have been circulated to the participants. In these, especially in the preface to Part 1, I have explained the checkered history of the volume and also briefly touched upon each article. Editing of both these volumes was a challenging task. The Institute had the text of the writing of many eminent scholars, but alas, the text was sometimes incomplete and in some cases without footnotes and illustrations. All this laborious work had to be accomplished without altering the content of the series, of the text, as also their stylistic individuality.